Once again, we'd like to welcome everyone to Randy and Candy Yao's Extreme Desire podcast, where we meet, talk, learn, and hear from some of the legends and people in the real world of hunting, where we keep things down to earth with real people.
This week, we're going to be with one of the true legends in the hunting industry, Wayne Carlton. Wayne is one of the true innovators of diaphragm and other types of calls as we know them today. Wayne is a true outdoorsman, conservationist, incredible friend and hunter, and could have been a stand-up comedian, as a lot of you may know. So let's get to it. Okay, we are here today with the legend, Wayne Carlton. We've kind of run across each other years back and became very good friends, and I'd almost consider him family, just our kind of people. And my wife Candy, obviously, and so we're going to talk with Wayne today and see, just kind of let us hear about where things started, and because he's definitely one of the innovators and of the elk calling and calling.
I think he is the innovator.
Well, I heard the word family, and family that is not blood kin. When you choose that family, it's somebody that has the same appreciation for things that you do. And for me, like with mules, I just love mule people, and they all got that whine. I tell you what, that's one of the better mules I ever seen in my life. It's a true match for you. And of course, that's to sell the mule, but I just love all that accent and all the play that goes on that. So I try to make sure I stay in the mule industry to somewhat.
Perfect.
But he met a couple mules here. So
I don't want to say I met no asses, but they're come from good stock.
Okay.
So let me just we were talking about this last night. People just don't remember or ever know where things came from. And I know when I was first turkey hunting, it was with a piece of slate, nothing but a piece of slate and a corn cob and a cedar peg that was burnt on the end. And that was my first friction to call. We didn't even know diaphragms back then. For the first few years I hunted turkeys, there were no diaphragms. It had not come up yet. So you can imagine the old man, his name was Ennis Runkle. He was a painter. And I went to his shop one day, and this is after going there many times. I walked in his shop, and I heard this. And I couldn't figure out how his hands were not moving, because up to that point in time, everything you did, it was in your hands, and it was with a slate or a box or something. So I asked Mr. Runkle, I said, "How are you doing that, Mr. Runkle?" He said, "It's a secret." And that's what you first find out about wild turkey hunters is if they know where they're at, it's a secret. If they got a hot call, it's a secret. But that was the first call I'd ever seen, and he had taken the top of a toothpaste tube. This is honest to God true. He had taken the top, when toothpaste tubes were made out of aluminum back in the early day, and he had taken a pair of metal shears and had made himself a horseshoe. And of all things, he put stretched across there to whistle on was a condom. And that was the first diaphragm turkey call I ever saw. But he could call with it. He could do everything with it. And my first experience ever. And later on, we can show the different kind of things we can do with the call. But that opened up our hands to either put an arrow back on the shell or either put a shell in your gun and maybe you forgot. You didn't have to use your hands for calling. You could use them for cleaning up. Yeah. When you make them messes and you drop your call on the ground. So I feel very fortunate. And most just knowing that sort of stuff. And the guy that actually started the first, I believe, selling the first commercial diaphragm turkey call was a guy by the name of Ben Rogers Lee from Alabama, weighed about 400 pounds, and in the worst way wanted to be Jerry Clowers. Y'all are probably too young for Jerry Clowers.
I don't quite remember that one.
Jerry Clowers. Well, if you ever saw him, you'd remember. He's 400 pounds of fun.
Yeah, big boy, yeah.
But he had a big, wide mouth, and his calls were designed for somebody that has a wide palate. We can get into that sort of stuff later, too. I consider mine about halfway neutral. But he's a big guy, had big cheeks, and that meant that palate was pretty wide.
Uh-huh.
But he didn't know how to do an elk call because I didn't learn how to do an elk call until 76.
Uh-huh.
And I blew these for elk calls from 76 on. and we went in business in '82, I believe.
Right.
Come a long ways fast.
I know I built my first elk call. I made out of a little, like a PVC type pipe. I don't know what it was back then, but
Yeah.
it was a little thing, and it's more like a whistle thing, and
Yeah.
it worked. But I still got them buried somewhere in my old prehistoric elk calls before there was any of this, all the fancy stuff we got nowadays, which is so nice. But
Yeah. Well, that whistle you described, there's some guiding outfitters. Thank God one of them is dead. I won't mention their last name because I don't want to die. But they live in Gunnison, and they were known to put dynamite in a wagon and blow up a hole in the middle of the street. Them kind of boys, just for the fun of it. And they would also chase bighorn sheep with snowmobiles until that one died in flight from one canyon to another.
Wow.
He missed his corner.
Not good.
But I called him in twice.
Wow.
Before he died. I didn't know him that well after he died.
Mm-hmm. Usually you don't.
Unless you meet him in passing or something like that.
Yeah, and hopefully you got a ways to go on that deal.
But, and I'll let you get to your deal here. We called him in twice, and he was going to whip me.
Oh.
And then I showed him how to use diaphragm call. He'd never seen one before.
No, but
we became friends for the rest of the time.
Very good.
But he had one of your calls that you PVC.
Yeah.
PVC and aluminum. Had a little plug in it.
Yeah, they were ugly, but they made a sound. They certainly didn't sound great, but the elk back then, they didn't care. It made a racket, and they'd scream. So
we didn't have so many people doing it.
That's right. That's right.
So at any rate, that kind of brings you not completely up to date. That would take a couple of days, but it gives you an idea of where it came from to this point.
Correct. And you got in the mix and just got interested in building calls.
I moved out here from Florida because we're in Salt Lake today, but I moved out west from Florida in 1976. And what people don't realize, I hunted elk 4 years before I moved to Colorado. I'd come out and hunt just for a week or two. And upon hearing that whistle of a bull elk and knowing what a turkey kiki run sounds like, I said, I think you can do both of them with this. So
exactly.
I just practiced. That would be the kiki run part. But that little whistle just made me think that probably you could do like a cow call on an elk is. So all that's done.
With the same thing.
The same thing.
That's right.
So I do coyotes, wolves,
geese,
turkeys. Actually call bears and gators in with it, using it
right.
as distress. So a diaphragm call is simply a whistle, and depending upon how you whistle is the sound that comes out. There you go.
That's the trick.
That's it. That's
all
right.
in a nutshell.
So you built your first bunch of calls, and how'd you progress throughout the years?
Well, what we did is we became friends with a company called Perfection Turkey Calls. They were in, I think, Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And we told them, we realized quite by accident what it takes to make a good elk call. Mm-hmm. And so we had the company make those at our specifications. So it went from turkey to elk. But in doing that, what it showed the call manufacturers back east was, and there were none out west.
Mm-hmm. Right.
None. It was wide open for us. We took a turkey call that was pretty dull sounding, and by stretching a little bit tighter and doing what we call a quarter moon, you can see a little stretch on that right there.
Yeah.
We'll have to look at that later, but anyway, there's a stretch on the diaphragm, so it gives it a quarter moon effect, ever so slight. So when we started making them like that, then all of a sudden we had some good elk calls. And we had something no one else had ever done. And a writer by the name of Rich LaRocco from Outdoor Life did the first article. He was intrigued with how to learn how to call because he was trying to voice call, which a lot of that sucking air back in, and that gets hard on you.
Yeah.
So he did the article. The article came out in August, and from August until December 31st, we did $76,000. And at the time I was in the pest control business, it didn't take but a year or two of $76,000 and up. And to say, I don't think I want to spray bugs no more. so that's how we actually got into business in 1982. Got on the market, but all the other stuff was preliminary. But we almost cut our own throats. We went back to the National Wild Turkey Federation and did a presentation on what you could do, noises you can make with a diaphragm call. And all the people that back east that was competing with one another for that market share,
right.
When they heard this, what things you could do with it, the light bulbs went off. And here they come trying to make things that we hunt out west, the coyotes, the elk, and all that stuff.
Right.
But we luckily, good Lord looking down, and we were ahead of them so they couldn't catch us.
That's good.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah. And Wayne, he's kind of known to be kind of a comedian at times, too, so you never know.
I'm trying to behave myself here.
That's right. And he means trying. But, yeah. No, he's made some great calls over the years and continuing to do so. You've switched directions a little bit more here, and now you got another line out.
Yeah.
Native
by Carlton. And the flagship of the Native by Carlton is that piece of metal right there. And that's just an arch that we built over the front lead. We call it the leading edge of the diaphragm. And it's when you blow it, all that pressure pushes that up into that little groove. That's why you get consistent good sounds all the time. We've tuned it for elk and turkey, and you can do a number of other things with it too. But that's called the Rip It, and we are known now as Native by Carlton.
Native by Carlton.
And it's working out pretty good. We're having a lot of fun with it. And I tell you, y'all, I'm sure you got kids, so you can appreciate this. It is so much fun. When we first started this back in 76, 82, my son was real small, so he had to grow up in the company whether he wanted to or not.
Exactly.
He had to help us do stuff. He had to sleep underneath the table at the shows. So he's been involved. He's now 43. Maybe 44. I can't keep that close to tab on him. But it could be a leap year. You never know.
That's right. Yeah,
but
things change.
But all this time, he's sitting there making all these diaphragm calls. Dad's out blowing the horn, so to speak, and selling them and getting people to like and teaching them how to call. Well, this kid is making these calls in Montrose, Colorado. So now, once we sold the company, he always kind of wanted to go back into it. And everything you see here, all the art, all the calls, all the design of packaging, all that stuff, even down to the butthead decoy, that has his signature on it.
Yeah.
So it's fun now for me to sit over here in this little chair, let him do all the running.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
So that's where we're at now, and it's
good.
We're very fortunate as with kids, you would know as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've used Wayne's calls for years and years and years, and I keep a plethora of calls because once I get a bull, if he acts nervous about something, I switch on him.
Yes.
I change directions, change places, and give him something new to listen to, and it works. But I've just always had great luck with Wayne's calls, and one of the hardest things for a diaphragm call is some people just can't get it.
It's really hard to learn.
It's hard for them to get it.
Right.
And, you're probably been blowing on these things longer than about anybody. What's the secret? Well, sorry, folks, but we're going to have to take a little break right here because, as we've said in the past, it's not always perfect, but it's always real. And it certainly is here today. We did this podcast. We had a little malfunction with one of our pieces of equipment, so we had to come back the next day to finish this podcast with Wayne. So if you hear some of the same things a little bit, don't worry about it. It's just the way it is. Anytime you're listening to Wayne, it's a good time. So enjoy the rest of the podcast, and we'll get right back to it. Okay, I think we are in like Flynn. Talk to me, Wayne.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm pretty good.
Me too. I was about the same way yesterday, but somebody pulled the plug.
Yeah, well, As we're here, as you can see us here, we're adjusting things up. And yesterday we were here and we did this once, actually. So
Yeah, we
if you
did.
notice, we're dressed a little differently today. I'm still in a hole. Can't find a taller chair, but
It's
we
good
got-
because that way he has to look up to Wayne there.
yeah, I'm looking.
If you would just take that and angle it down, quarter, like 75% slope, look like you was sitting on a hillside somewhere.
it'd make us
Yeah.
feel like we're more at
I'm
home.
only,
huh?
I'm only kidding. All right.
Okay, no, yesterday we got back and realized that the recorder had shut down on us
Halfway through.
halfway through. So the other half was just entertainment for us.
Yeah.
So we left off yesterday. We were asking,
Yeah.
how would you, with these ladies and stuff, and the young people getting into the field, and or anybody that hasn't blown a call before, this diaphragm call,
Mm-hmm.
how would you tell them to start? I know one time you told me the S word works pretty good, but
S.
yes,
S.
you said one time.
Like there's something between your teeth and you're trying to spit it out. There it went right there.
So yeah, we're trying to.
All right.
Let's tell us how you go about at least the first steps in trying to blow a diaphragm call. What would you tell them?
I think, well, let me back up just
Okay,
a
just
little
back
bit.
up.
Let's go to the point that where diaphragm calls were not made yet.
Okay, well you
So we'll take it from there and then we'll show them how to. Would you let me borrow this out of your lap here?
Which one would you like?
That one.
Okay.
you getting turkey call?
Would you hold that?
Yes, sir.
It's like a doctor's office.
Well, I
in
got them
there.
on both sides of me.
Yeah, we do what we're told.
All right, folks. Let me just say this. You can talk about things forever, but if you see it and hear it at the same time, it kind of sticks with you just a little bit better.
Yes.
And I will never forget, whenever I was a kid growing up, matter of fact, I didn't turkey hunt until I was 21. Came home out of the service, and all of a sudden we had turkeys. Didn't have them before I went to service.
I'll be darned.
But thanks to the National Wild Turkey Federation, that was some of the beginning success that they had. So we were able to capitalize on that. But going back to the point, you had to use your hands to make a turkey sound. We didn't have diaphragm calls. We had this. And it ain't bad to have that.
No.
Makes pretty good sound, and it's got a sound that will make turkeys gobble when they don't want to. But the fact remains, to make this baby work, this or a slate, you had to use your hands. So you can only imagine when I went to Mr. Runkle's paint shop in Gainesville, Florida, diaphragms had not been invented yet, but this old fart, and I call him an old fart in a good way, he had come up with a toothpaste tube when they were made out of aluminum, and he had placed a condom across the top of it and stretched it out till he had it so it would sound like a turkey. But I walked into his shop, so just put yourself in my shoes, lack of. Put yourself in my shoes, and I've never, ever seen anything like this before. But when I walk in the door, that old man's going. First thing I'm doing is looking for what?
A turkey.
How you making that work, Mr. Runkle? Mr. Runkle being a good turkey hunter, he said it's a secret. He wouldn't show me for about an hour. And you can create all the excitement you want to out of what you do with your voice. But if you want to learn how to use the diaphragm, and by all means, if you do not know, you are missing the boat, because it's very easy to learn how to blow them nowadays.
So it's said, right? I mean, I think so, but I see
I
a lot
struggled.
of I see a lot of people blowing, snorting,
sometimes
gagging, sucking.
You have to look in the mirror and see what kind of talent you're dealing with. But if you got all your things together,
Faculties.
like if you had all them factories together and they were working towards one goal, that's getting you to use the diaphragm call. The best way to explain to people how to use the diaphragm call is try to keep the air from coming out of your mouth after you take a deep breath without using your lips. Now, if you're hair-lipped, it's not quite that easy.
Maybe that's what my problem is.
I think you're all right.
No, you have more hair on your chest than your lips. Huh?
I do. That's right. You're not supposed to tell no one.
I don't even want to look at that. So at any rate, here we go. I'm going to show you. You can hear that air passing through the mic here.
Your tongue.
And my tongue stayed in my mouth. The air past it by the mic.
That's a good
Why?
I got that part.
This must be way early for this.
Gosh.
Some folks.
Okay.
So at any rate, if you got all your teeth, gums or whatever, clench them together. And that's the same motion that you use to tell your tongue, go touch that diaphragm call, because really and truly, like learning how to play a guitar, you don't do it right the first time, nor the second.
No, that's
right.
for sure.
It takes, I think, 21 days to develop a habit to the point it's subconscious. So anyway, here we go. Usually I don't have this in a way. I'm saying I'm lost.
Okay.
I'm a turkey trying to find the rest of the turkeys when I'm whistling. But since we are in elk camp, and since I learned how to call elk at a very early age, thank goodness, did it before somebody else did, and I never knew there were so many professionals out there that knew what they were doing when it come to elk calling until after we got into marketing. Wow, really? Okay. So anyway, here's how you make some of those sounds. It's again, it's clenching your teeth together, your gums together, whatever you got the most of. Trapping air with your tongue. Are you with me?
I'm following.
At the beginning of the call, kind of growl. Then you want to do a chuckle. It's a yo, 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 like that.
Don't suck it in.
It's just like watching that bull that's out there bugling and chuckling. His guts going up and down shaking.
Exactly.
So you want your chest. You don't have to pee on yourself.
I prefer he doesn't.
Now, I'm not sure where this will go. You want your chest to go, yo, yo.
Exactly.
So that's okay for guys. I'm not sure women want to do that.
I hit him the bottom of it. Yeah, yeah.
And don't forget to growl if you want that nice. Borrow that grunt tube right here.
You betcha.
This is a elk bugle in the making. Like that. Get pretty good at this.
You are.
Multi-direction.
Yeah.
So that'll give you a good idea about going from a turkey call, having to use your hands. And by the way, probably more turkey being called in with the box call than any other call out there. So it's not something that you don't want to try. I think you do want to try. But no matter what you hunt, and learn how to use one of these babies.
Exactly. I love those diaphragms for. I carry mouth reeds, and I know Wayne does too. There's always a time, change things up a little bit. But, those mouth reeds, I use them for everything. I mean, and I know Wayne does the same thing. He can do goose call. He can do anything. But when I'm deer hunting, I don't care if I'm coyote calling. I don't care. And even in Africa last year, I had my – well, actually, your calls, that's all I use, Wayne's calls pretty much. I use others too, but I really like Wayne's calls. But stopping, kudu jumps up, takes off running. I just hit a cow call and
it stopped.
Even if
it's just for a second, at least you got a shot.
Same big old mule buck jumps up, takes off. I hit that cow call, and it don't work every time. Sometimes it speeds them up, but 90% of the time it stops them. So you play your odds, you know.
Well, I would say so. And I mean, how many times have you needed both hands to make everything work? Get it done.
I need both hands all the time.
And so just makes a lot of sense to learn. And you don't have to be the best elk caller in the world.
That's right.
Absolutely not. And I'm not, but
just make something similar.
Yeah.
And I think more dramatic. It's just like last year during gun season, which is the first time I've ever killed a cow with a gun, and believe it or not, but it was after all the trophy seasons were over, and this is wintertime stuff, and just using a crazy decoy with blaze orange on it, and doing real dramatic cow calls. Here they come.
Yeah.
Just like what in the world?
Yeah.
So
pretty cool.
I think it's knowing 100 times more than if you're a public speaker, it's knowing 100 times more than what you say. So if you're a game caller, know 100 times more calls than what you'll ever use at one time.
Yeah. No, the dramatic thing is I've done the same thing, late season bulls and everything. Just walking along, just being dramatic, and if nothing else, they're curious.
Mm-hmm.
They got to see what the heck is going on, you know. Yeah, so.
Well, occasionally we'll see one elk by itself,
Mm-hmm.
but most of the time, would you agree that there ain't an elk out there wants to be by itself, maybe unless it's an old beat-up old bull that's just tired?
Pretty much, yeah.
But the cows, the calves, the
They all
yearlings,
want to be
my
together.
God,
Yes.
oh my Lord, there's Mama.
Yeah, or a desperate calf, you know. I've seen, because you hear them out in the woods, they get separated from mama, they just don't shut up.
Oh, it's great.
So, yeah,
that's great for predator calling too.
Yeah, yeah.
So, as far as, I mean, you gave the basics for learning how to call, but in my opinion, and I want your opinion on this, the more time you spend in the woods with the animals, the more you'll understand and know what that sound is supposed to be like.
A good point that you bring up. When I first started, there were no videos. There were no anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so to try to learn how, and I grew up in Florida for Pete's sake. And now I'm going out west elk hunting.
And they act different than gators?
How do you going to learn how to call an elk? So I went to the library. They didn't have much on it. So back in the day, we just didn't have that much. But I was fortunate. I had an uncle, Harvey Beckham, that taught me a lot, a crazy guy. By the way, Uncle Harvey told me the gators were never on the endangered species list.
I'd probably agree with that.
If he saw them, he got them. That was a notch, not a list. But at any rate, what you say is so true. And so now today we've got the videos, we've got everything in the world for media communication and teaching people how to call wildlife. As a matter of fact, they come up at this show asking, where can we go to learn what you have learned? So people are asking for that.
Yeah. They are.
And it's the communication nowadays and the availability of it, it's never been better than what it is right now.
No, you're right. You know, and it's like
it allows us to teach.
Exactly. That's why we do those ladies' camps. You know, we've talked and trying to get you to come out and enjoy one of them with us. And
have you had much luck with that lately?
Well, not with
we're
you
still
yet,
trying.
but we're still working on it. We're trying to get you out there, and me and you get up there and at least embarrass ourselves and have a good time. The ladies would love it.
Those ladies want to learn. It's crazy.
That's the neat thing with those gals. It's like such a cool event because they just come together and they learn so much and just gives them confidence because all we're doing is whetting their appetite. It's like you say, you got to practice it, and you got to get out there and do it.
But if they only go out there even once in their life and get a bull to answer them,
it's like
it
crazy.
Just changed their life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've just made dreams come true for so many people.
Well, I got involved last year, and I met this lady sometime before. Her name is Donnell Johnson, and she's doing something similar to what you guys are doing. She doesn't put on a camp, but she takes individual women out for their first hunt, kind of a deal. So I think y'all would all be a great team together to help each other out. Yeah. But I would agree that, like, I called her daughter's first bull in for her, and she shot it. And I called a beautiful, and we got it on video, so I'm sure you can get some of it. It was a 6x that scored 310.
Oh, wow.
And literally, when she got ready to shoot, it was standing 15 feet, took one leap sideways, now it's standing at 30 feet, and she killed it.
Perfect.
So, but that's the first time she had ever experienced that sort of thing.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, she's a good caller, but never seen as dramatic as.
No, I know. Yeah, we've got some great friends, and a lot of them are great callers, you know. But there's a whole, you know, there's a point where you can be the best caller in the world. Just like you said, you don't have to be the best caller either. It's doing the right things at the right time and knowing what, when, where to go. You know what I mean?
Having God shine down
this
on
year,
you a little too.
Yeah, sometimes it just comes together. Had Candy at 20 yards this year in Wyoming, 2 big bulls come in. She had one about 20, one about 30 yards, and she had got herself stuck in the middle of a thicket. She can't shoot out. Now she's got 2 big old bulls screaming on each side of her. She can't do nothing. She's kind of fouled, and she's trying to figure out how to get shot. I have another one I call. He comes in from behind me, and I'm thinking, well, she looks like she's in pretty good shape right now. I dart over the hill, shoot that bull, run back up top, and keep calling. She comes up there kind of all sad. And I blew it. I'm sorry. I said, well, hey, it happens. But I got one. She goes, no way.
How it goes, right?
Were you happy about that?
Oh, I was ecstatic. Yeah,
she was happy, but
bull.
I mean, here you were trying to get it done. And
I had a tough archery season. I got on more bulls than anybody, but I never had a shot.
Well, mine was tougher than that, in that I never had a shot myself during archery season, so I got my cow with a rifle.
There you go. Well, I got a bull with a rifle this year, so it made up for it.
You know, it eats pretty good.
Oh, yeah, they all eat good.
Man.
But sometimes the experiences are almost better than I got on a bull that was answering him but kept moving away, and I just decided I was going after him. It's a big bull, nice bull. And the closest I got was 115 yards. Obviously, I can't do that with a bow. But I followed him for I don't know how many hours, and when we ended up, I was in a herd in the middle running with over 100 head of elk.
Wow.
Now, nobody gets that experience.
No.
That was way better than even harvesting.
Yeah. I would agree. I'm sitting here as you talk, just reflecting back to New Mexico, around Pie Town, New Mexico. And I used to love to go in there during the middle of the day and get one in there growling. A lot of times they're laying.
Laying in his nest.
Like that. So I've been in that situation where I got the wind right, and I would just go from one tree to another, and I'd lean this way or that way, and I'd have them within 5 or 10 feet away from me.
Pretty cool.
And some of them big bulls, like 400 bulls. So not everybody gets to see that. But
no.
And you don't need to take a video picture of it, because once you see it, it is burnt. It's
in
burnt.
your head
in your
forever.
skull. That's for sure. Exactly.
That's right.
She did the same thing. She had another bull this year. She did a great job. I mean, to me, it was a successful hunt. I had a bull off in the bottom, and I could tell he had cows, and he wasn't coming. And I said, you go get him. I'll stay up here and just keep him entertained. And she got down within 20 yards into the herder again.
I already got the herd past me. That's what I was so proud of.
I was so proud of her. I mean, just to make that happen, because you got to have confidence, and you got to push that extra little bit sometimes to make it happen. So sometimes you can sit there all day, ain't gonna do you no good. You gotta make that move. You gotta make something happen. So
that is true.
I had some good experiences, but I did not harvest anything. So.
Yeah, but it was cool.
But that's okay.
We're well worth the time and effort.
That's right. Yeah. It don't matter. It's
you
all
can't
about
ever
the hunt,
replace that.
the family and the friends and the camaraderie, like we said before. It's like, I used to go off by myself and all this and that and just have a great old time, but it's not the same. I like to be able to come back to camp at night and sit with my friends and tell them the stories, hear their stories, and my family, my kids, grandkids, whatever. It's just, that's the best part, sharing it with all your friends and family. And
well, I'm kind of like this campfire in the camp. It's a ridgepole being bent to make sleeping in a tent feel so good.
That's right.
When that ridgepole's bent and the snow's on top of your tent pressing down, and it gets that. I never had quietness quite like that. Have you?
It's different.
No? When you got that.
I've had it bend all the way down and snap and.
Yeah.
That
That's
wasn't
not
quite
peaceful.
No, it wasn't.
You may want to shake it once in a while.
This was in Colorado. Yeah, we was about 10,000, 11,000 feet, and I woke up one morning with a tent on top of me, and I'm telling you what, it's like you're trying to figure out where you're at and what just happened, and
yeah,
it was a shock.
I don't know. I kind of enjoy all. I don't like hunting cold weather, but I like the campfire. I like it. I don't like it below zero. I'm an archery hunter.
Yeah.
So
I kind of like a little warmer than that myself.
Yeah. So, but anyway, there's some great things to be had out there. But I do remember those episodes and those times in the tent with the fire cracking when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
And wake up.
Nice.
And I will say one thing. Wonder why that temperature goes down so fast when the fire goes out.
Oh, it does.
It's like them wall tents don't have no insulation.
Yeah, that's weird. That's just like they're just a slight piece of canvas stopping the wind, huh?
Yeah. So,
But when that tent fires are rolling, this wall
It's
tent,
pretty
you
peaceful.
can't beat them. I'm telling
No.
you.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
a wall tent's a good thing, but
So tell me about you guys keep talking about your ladies' camp, even though we've discussed it quite a bit. I'm not quite sure. Just tell me A to Z. You bring a certain amount of ladies in.
Yep, we bring in 50 ladies.
And there's no charge to it?
Oh,
on
there
their
is a
behalf?
charge. We have to cover the insurance and the food, so it costs
Okay.
$375, but that's for 2.5 days of complete instruction and all the best food you can eat, and a lot of fun.
it just basically covers expenses.
The instructors are still at this point, and obviously us, which are pretty much doing it full time now. It's all pro bono at this point. At some point, I'd like to start covering some costs.
Well, it's
Don't
not
blame you.
full time, but it's too much time.
Sure.
That's the
Yeah.
problem,
Yeah.
and trying to make a living. But
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, but other than that, it's good. You know, they got pistol, rifle, archery, shotgun, orienteering, multiple other types of classes, turkey, and
Backcountry,
this and
elk
that,
tactics.
calling, and different things. You know,
Yeah.
we try to. All we can do is whet their appetite, give them a little experience. A lot of these gals have never shot a bow, rifle, or anything else ever, and it's just like it's a new world to them. It's so cool. And then the campfire stories are unreal.
Well, based on what I've experienced this last year hooking up with the ladies that I hunted with, not only were they extremely knowledgeable, they had to get after it. They stayed after it.
Oh, you
Bet
bet.
they do.
We had
Oh,
one
sure.
gal by the name of Sarah, and she helped pack the Nels bull out. I helped as well. But Sarah put 100 pounds on her back, and she don't look it. She carried that to the truck,
Oh, yeah.
and she never missed. I said, well, surely I can carry this 85 pounds on my back. It was all I could do to get my feet in front of one in front of the other by the time I got to that truck. So that's a tough gal.
No, there are some tough ladies, and it's a cool thing. But like I say,
it's-
bringing new people in, whether they're kids, women,
Yeah.
men, it don't matter. We've done it so much over the years, and that's part of our passion, bringing in new people, watching that expression, seeing that. This is something about it.
The only way I'll take a man is I'll have to blind him, put a blindfold over his head with a stick. And if you peek as to see what the trail looks like where you're going, we're going to turn around and go back. Ladies got more. They got more honesty about them. They don't go out and tell everybody where they've been.
Yeah.
Somewhere over there. I love
Somewhere.
that. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think the one thing that I bring up a lot at the ladies' camp, and then we just touched on it a little bit there, is sometimes when we're out in the field, we've got the video camera, and we're trying to capture all this beautiful stuff that we see that nobody else is going to see, and the camera don't do it justice. If you can, so I get to feeling guilty that we've seen all these incredible things, and the world doesn't see them. And so if we can enable these ladies to get out there and see some of that, we've done our part.
Right. Well, and you never know how they're going to react.
Yeah.
Everything's been pretty positive so far.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably ought to wrap this dude up and let you
Yeah,
get back
poor
to your
Wayne's gotta
next,
go to work.
next appointment here. And
Well,
we're-
people keep pointing fingers
like I
at
say,
me.
Wayne's a good guy. We hung around him here for a while, and hope we get to spend a lot more time together over the years.
We'll see where it goes for sure.
That's
Oh,
right.
well, we're going to
but-
see him in Utah at the ladies' camp.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna work.
I'll
on that.
try. I am going to try to make that one. I've got to talk to my accountant, make sure she's okay.
That's the boss lady.
But anyway,
Alrighty.
Okay,
Wayne
thanks,
Carlton,
Wayne.
the legend.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
we
fact.
got to have a hug.
Yeah,
Always a hug.
you got to watch him. No, he's pretty smooth yet.
I'm called a hug extender.
Hope you enjoyed this week's podcast, and remember, it's not always perfect, but it is always real with Extreme Desire. Please always remember we cannot continue without social media these days. Once again, we ask that you like us, Randy and Candy Yao's Extreme Desire, on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please check out our website, extremedesiretv.com. See you next week, same place, same time.